All right, Aaron.
Alright, how many of you out there live on your own? So pretty big group of you guys. Okay, all of us in here are obviously going to school. Every month, college students and people of the working middle and lower class go to make ends meet and see how finances work themselves out at the end of each month, hoping they will make it. Some just barely make it. My claim today is how it is way too expensive to live in Southern California and try to live on your own. It is something we would all like to do if you can actually accomplish. It is stated in MSN Real Estate that Los Angeles, or Southern California in general, is the second most expensive place to live in the United States, second only to New York. When you're going to school full-time, working at a hot dog on a stick, it's not something you're particularly too happy to hear. Today I'm going to state my claim with some evidence we all partake in every month and can all attest to when it comes to how expensive it actually is to living on your own. Then I'll put together a month's typical finances for my fictional character I came up with named Joseph, and see how tight of a budget it is to work and go to school. Third, I will talk about all the things and habits we can do to ensure that our needs get paid at the end of the month. So living in Southern California is tough as it is, and being in a recession with our poor economy certainly does not help. But people who take the plunge and move out, or people who are put in circumstances where they need to move out, and tend to scramble at first, try to put it all in proportion to see how living on their own is going to work out. People often affected by high cost of living in Southern California includes college students going to work full-time and working for mediocre wages, people from other countries working to support their families back at home, working 2 full-time jobs, sometimes 3 part-time jobs for minimum wage. Many times 2 or 3 low-income families will share a single residence to save money, and in turn creates unstable living conditions. At work, we have a log where we can read all the incidents that happened in other departments in other cities, and in the city of La Habra in the last 3 months, there's been 2 residential structure fires caused to multiple families living in a single residence, turning a garage into a living quarters or an attic or something that's not suitable for living, but they've wired it themselves, and sometimes they don't do it correctly, so in turn it turns into a structure fire. People already seeking help from government through welfare programs also struggle to pay rent. Many times it takes the leaders of more than one family to come together to come up with the rent to make sure their families have a roof over their heads. It's very common to see people working 2 jobs these days and still barely make it due to the high cost of basic necessities. All of us go to school and work to see how things vary from month to month. I created a fictional person named Joseph and put all his expenses into perspective to see, at a ballpark average, how much a college student spends a month living in Southern California. A community college student. Joseph lives in Fullerton, California. He shares a house with 4 other guys and attends Fullerton College full-time. Joseph works at Lowe's, making $10.75 an hour, and works 30 hours a week for a total of about $1,300 a month after taxes. Joseph, like any one of us, has his basic bills. He pays $6 for a cell phone, $8 for insurance. Food and gas comes out to about $320. I average it out $40 a week for gas and $40 a week for food. He cooks it all himself, and pays $670 for rent with utilities included. In the end, Joseph spends around $1,130 on basic bills and has $170 left over after all his expenses are paid for basic necessities such as clothes, leisure, if he has a girlfriend, a school project or materials for school, if he gets fined for something, a parking ticket, or if he has a credit card bill, etc. So we can all see that Joseph is really stretched to his ends with what he makes at Lowe's. I think we can all relate to Joseph in one way or another when it comes to going to school and working, being able to cope with all the things we need to pay for. He's probably that kid Mr. Kirkhan referred to earlier in the semester that wears like the scrunched up shirt from the Frosted Flakes box for weeks straight. That's Joseph, for sure. I just hope his parents help him a little with tuition and books, because that wasn't factored into the equation for those of you that caught it. So what can our buddy Joseph do to cope with the high living expenses and necessities that all college students face every semester? There are some answers out there for people like Joseph and you and me. Living in Southern California is not cheap, and trying to live alone and go to school at the same time seems almost impossible without some type of assistance. But I know a few people that have been able to pull it off, and they gave me some tips that they did and some tricks they came up with to help them get by the 4 most critical and important years of our lives. A lot of things they told me can also be found on Associated.com's 7 easy ways to cut down costs for a college student living on his own. So there's 7 ways. There's not just 1, 2, there's 7. Number 1 is to buy your book, your textbooks online, used, or borrow them from a friend. Share them with a friend, photocopy them from a friend. It won't be great quality, but the information you need is there and available for you. Number 2 is moving to someone's attic or basement and making it suitable to live in and negotiate your rent by doing chores around the house, including mowing the lawn, cleaning duties, and babysitting responsibilities. 3 is keeping your utilities low by turning off lights when not being used, taking short showers, or keeping the windows closed to keep the heat in, and covering them with clear plastic to help insulate them without a thermostat. Just small things, being creative, add up monthly and make the overall amount you pay less. 4, try to find a place where a kitchen is accessible with a refrigerator and microwave. It is cheaper to cook food rather than buying it, and if you buy what is on sale for the week and focus your meal plan around that sale, you can obviously save a lot more money than if you were to go out and just buy food for 3 meals. It is also cheaper to buy non-perishable items at dollar stores like Big Lots or 99-cent stores only. Number 5 is clothing. Buying clothing is expensive in general, but if you buy them on sale from a secondhand store, you can get most for your money. You can also find clothes. With brand names at garage sales or moving sales. Buying clothes can be expensive, but another expense is keeping them clean, and that's an expense of its own. It's easier to have a place that has a laundry room to use, but if it's not, then to the laundromat you go. So a couple of things you could do is wash what you need to. Wash underwear, socks, and lightweight clothing by hand or hand drying in your living quarters. Never buy soap in the laundry, it's way too expensive. It's way easier just to go to like Big Lots or Smart & Final and buy all the soap in bulk ahead of time at the beginning of the month when you have the money. Number 7, if you have to buy a car, buy the cheapest insurance you can. And if it breaks down, it's cheaper to go to a vocational mechanic class and have the students fix it for a lot cheaper, or just do the work yourself. Get a bike. It's good exercise, and it's cheap, and it'll last you a long time if you take care of it. Scholarships are available and should always be researched if you qualify, and loans are there if you need it too. Many financial aid opportunities also exist for college students that qualify. So the resources and possibilities to make it through the struggles of living on your own are out there. You just have to be willing to make the sacrifices and make the best of things. Okay, so to conclude, living in California is pretty tough. From the poor air quality living in California is pretty tough from the poor air quality due to the smog and congested freeways to the unpredictable wildfires that storm through our rural communities. Long commutes to and from work, and sometimes 10 to 12-hour work days. It seems as if the last thing you need to worry about is whether you're going to have enough food to feed your family at the end of the week. Hopefully the economy gets out of this recession and we can all get back on track and progress as a society. But for those of you who have been able to jump on a grenade and pull off living on your own, my hat definitely goes off to you. And for those of you that are thinking about moving out in the near future, now you have a few tips to how you can stretch your tip money a little further and help you get by. Thank you.
All right. Adam, what did you think?
Well, I thought the thesis was good, but I wasn't quite sure what you're trying to persuade the audience about, aside from, that it is hard. And since we all live in Orange County, I think it's pretty prevalent that we know it's hard to live in here. It seems like you did a lot of research, so it made the speech very informative, which I liked. The Joseph character worked very well, put the issue in perspective, and I liked the 7 rules. That was pretty cool. And what was that website's name? Because I could use some of that information.
Associate.com.
Associate.com?